What is good viber? Today we're going to be talking a little bit about sex and God. Now, why? Because come on now, haven't you ever thought about these two things? Haven't you ever, when you're doing the wanky spanky, don't you think, oh my gosh, God is watching me? And guess what? Don't you ever think, when you think about how you were created, doesn't that come to your mind? I think that it's just time that we talk about it, good vibers. So let's just talk about it, shall we? Okay, so first off, I'm done. We're not here to be immature, okay? You look in life, and wherever you look, you see this beautiful cycle of life happen, okay? You have the birds and the bees, you have the flowers and the pollen and the fruits, and it's just, this is how life is, fam. This is just how life is. I'm not trying to, I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to be honest. This is just what I have observed and what I understand. And I understand that we as humans came into the world, if you think about it, from our mamas. And what do we have to say about that? Okay, we came through the vagina. Or if you're like me, you were C-section, baby. And, yeah, that was like the portal for us to come into this earth, okay? In this whole world, Mama Earth, we all kind of came in through, no pun intended, okay? I'm drawing Earth, okay? Now, what do we know? We know that, like, you come on Earth, some people come on Earth, and they're just vibing, right? Some people are vibing when they're on Earth, some people are not vibing. But you know that you have a man and you have a woman, and then they come together, and that's how you have the babies. And then the babies have more babies, and we populate the earth. Woo! Great, beautiful. Now, what does this have to do with anything, God? Well, I think I really just wanted to make this video to address again our sexual energy and the sacredness of it, okay? Because guess what? You are sacred, okay? You are sacred. It is a part of you just being who you are. That doesn't mean to be entitled now, though, because everything is sacred. It's a beautiful part of life, though, and I'm happy that, we can celebrate it together. Now, alright. So we talked about sex a little bit, right? We talked about sex already. I'm not a sex ed teacher. I'm not going to go too much in depth. Something that happens, okay, it's something that happens, and when it happens, it's when, two become three or one, depending on how you look at it and who you ask, and it equals another a baby, okay? But generally speaking, if we were to break down sex, it goes the man and the woman equal the baby. The baby. And so then you think, okay, 1 plus 1 equals technically 3, because then you have the, so wow, look at that. That is like incredible. How can we have such an abundance? How does that work? Now I'm not gonna I think this is enough explaining this. You guys make me laugh. Actually, I don't think we even need. Alright, so let's back up now. We talked about sex, now let's talk about God. Okay, now what's the deal with God? Okay, so we know that God is all things, created all things. We dwell, we live, we move, we have our being in this thing. What's good? So what is this thought out here? What is this thought? What's good, Isaiah? I'll dab you. What's good? Well, God is like everything. So I really find it hard to describe what God is. And so when we think of sex, like, how do you describe it? It's God. God is everything. That's where we came from. God is like the soul that you came from. God is like the flowers and the food and the nutrients we need to even have these kind of talks and chats. So what is God? Man, I wasn't even there in that one. God, you tripping? That's crazy, guys. We're really breaking down this to math right now. Math, okay, a science. Okay, what is God? what is God? How would we even describe such a thing? Okay, what's going on here? I'm kind of like, yeah, we're getting kind of big there. Haha. All right, let's get into the imagination now. Now, if we think of it as God equals everything, then, you know, let's just put the infinity sign right here. Okay, so God equals everything, the infinite things that make everything. So, how do these things come into our existence? Well, they come through sex. When sex is kind of like love, but you can have sex, and let's say sex is like the flesh multiplying. Flesh. Okay, and then we'll say love is like the spiritual. Okay, so when I say sex equals flesh, I mean, well, you can look at just procreation, right? Like the 1 + 1 = 3. Everything has to live, so you can think of it as it's flesh's lifespan. It's how it's like, the life comes from it. Or, I won't even say lifespan. I'll just say life. Okay. Could we say that sex is like the flesh's life source? Kind of. Because we have sex so that we can have babies, so that the babies can carry our seed and live on further than us. So in a way, it is giving our flesh more life. Okay, no idea if this makes sense. Okay, dogs, cats, and breeders. God is everything. We're always co-creating, and we're doing the sex thing with God now. Yes, now, and we also know that God is love, right? You've probably heard of that before. God is love. And then what does that mean? Well, it is giving the spiritual life to everything it touches. And so, because God loves everything, it's kind of giving us the spiritual kind of life that helps, bring that soul back into. I have no idea if this makes any sense. I'm also sorting it out as we go. We're planting new seeds, okay? So we know that the soul's source comes from love, okay? So that's the soul's source. So when people say that they're in the 3D, now that we've gone through all of that, when people say they're in the 3D, they're really saying that they are more caught up with the flesh, okay, the lower dimensions. They're caught up in what we could call, it's pretty easy. The 3D is like this flower. It's pretty, but it's not going to last forever. So that 3D is really like that flower, and most things on the earth, okay? It's so cute, it's pretty, but guess what? It ain't gonna last forever. So thank you, Isaiah. So you really be looking at it and you be thinking, okay, so this is the flesh. And so we associate flowers with lots of things. For women, that's like the womb or the petals, the opening. There's a lot of things that we could kind of connect this with. But we'll just say this is like the divine feminine aspect of this concept of sex with God. Now, the thing is that it's kind of vain, so it does fall away because it is vain. Just like sex, like when you finish, you feel that kind of vain feeling, especially if you're doing something that is kind of just sucking your energy and isn't really connected to the soul. So then over here, so yeah, flesh is, it's temporary. We would connect it with like the concept of the birds and the beads. It's like the, it's the human way of how we, things, life, creation, just life generation, I guess. Generation. So that's what it looks like, okay? There's so many signs, okay? So then, of course, God is connected to this, and I feel like it's in a way that it's like, we may have shame as humans when it comes to the 3D of how I guess we handle the flesh that we're given. And I think that's all good. And that just like anything else on the 3D plane, it's easy for us to kind of not see the bigger picture of what it's connected to, or cut it off entirely thinking that, 3D, the 3D flesh and sex is totally cut off from the spiritual. I mean, there are a lot of people that are celibate that, practice spiritual practices, and that's one of them. So let's look at the 5D, because that's where I think things get interesting when we talk about God and sex. Because, okay, all right, on the 3D we could say that there's such a thing as like shame and guilt surrounding it, even though it's just a flower. It's just a natural cycle of life. Okay, both of these are natural things. Both of them are natural. The 3 and 5D are both natural. So, okay. So then when you look at 5D, you see this concept of spiritual love, or let's say spiritual life. I'm just gonna say life source. And this is when we think of our life force or life source energy, different things, right? So, I love it and excited to see that video, bro. But, yeah, so in the 5D, we're really thinking about the nature of energy. We're no longer thinking about what that energy is making up, but we're thinking about the nature behind it, almost like the intention. I hope that makes sense, okay? Like, yes, everything can kind of go together and create all of these things, but what is the intention? And the intention always goes back to love. Okay, and that's why it's the life source, because it's connected back to love. And so even though for many, if you're connected, if you've married or something like that, you could say that, okay, sex is this ultimate symbol of love because you are uniting as one body. But many people have sex without being in love and just do it because their flesh is kind of feeling this temporary urge to just do stuff. So that's one thing. But then with the 5D, you really do see it as that life source and love, and you see God as the one that is providing this love for all of this creation to kind of take place. So does this mean that you should be ashamed of sex? Does that mean that God's trying to push you back from having sex? No, I think it's very much going back to the intention and what you love, okay? Like, I think that God loves us all and God loves everything, all of his creations. Okay, I can't, I'm not God, so I'm not really sure on that statement, but I do know that we were given this gift of sex and that we should be aware of how that life force is really a part of so much, and it is so connected to nature, even the natural world around us. We look at the ways that fruits and the flowers are pollinated and then become a fruit, and then we can eat that fruit, and then we drop the seeds and we allow the seeds to go back in. Like, just take a thought. Like, a seed can become this ginormous tree, and then from that tree you can have fruits, and then from those fruits, I'm going on a little bit, but I think it's just so cool. You can have seeds, and then that those seeds are going to allow you to grow more plants. And it's super cool. We live in such a world where this is a reality, and you can use those seeds and you can plant them in the ground and you can make more plants, and it's a wonderful, wonderful process. And of course, if we didn't have the birds and the bees that help distribute those seeds and distribute that pollen, we might not have fruits as much as we do now. So appreciate the birds and the bees. And that is my talk. I never got the birds and the bees talk, but I think that's fine. I think I'm fine. And this was not, I don't know what you guys were expecting on this talk. I honestly am kind of thankful for being able to talk about this stuff. I don't know if there's anything else I could have talked about, but yeah, this is just a reminder that I don't think God's gonna condemn you for doing the do. I don't think God's gonna condemn you if you know, if you have sex, because it's a natural part of how we create more humans. But it's really about connecting back into that life force of the 5D and the 3D, and seeing, you know, what are your intentions, where are you directing that energy, connecting it back to know that, yes, when you have sex, you are almost like eating a fruit, the flesh of the fruit, and that moment or that feeling is temporary. So but what is going to last is that there are going to be seeds left over, and those seeds can be planted for other things to grow. So it is so important to know what kind of seeds you are planting by the taste of the fruit, by feeling how the fruit made you feel, because those are the kind of seeds you're going to plant. So every time that you have a sexual release of energy, it's very much like you just consumed this kind of fruit. There's a lot of ways we could look at this in nature, like, okay, maybe you're releasing the seeds and you're putting them in the ground, and then you're gonna grow, you know, this plant. And but really being aware of what your intention is, I think, is the ultimate thing. That yes, as humans, we are able to feel the 5D, we're able to feel the aspects of God that go beyond this realm, but we're also very much planted and grounded on the 3D, and that means that we have to be aware of how we use these energies, and what we do and what intention we have behind them, because I don't think God's really judging us for having sex, but I know society seems to do it a bit. So, and for a reason, you know, I think that it's been a little crazy how the energy is being used lately, and just bringing awareness to that, knowing that it is such a beautiful connection to nature, and that we must be aware of how we're using this energy, because it's only going to continue to manifest, and it will go trickle down the generations to come after us. But yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to share in today's video. I hope that you found it useful, and that you'll take this information with you as you continue through the rest of your day. I know that I found just being able to have this talk very helpful, and just kind of helps clarify things that sometimes I'm not even sure how to say. But I would love to hear your insights and comments and remarks on God. And Anthony, I see you, man. It is definitely fostering. Sex has so much creative force and energy within it for us to tap into. It is a blessing. And to be able to use that with an intention to balance it, so that we're aware that God's given us this energy and the ability to create life forms on Earth is such an amazing, incredible thing. So using that responsibly, knowing that your energy, what seeds you're planting, what fruits you're choosing to eat, are going to come back to you. And so just be aware, you know. And if you're watching this, fam, I already know they're good, love, light, joy, and peace. Yeah, because that's what we all about, right? Yeah, fam, that's right. So subscribe if you haven't already to join the fam. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. I hope that you have an amazing day. I appreciate you for tuning in, and I hope that this provided some value. I'd love to talk more about this subject. Just let me know what specifically you'd like to dive in more for the next video, and I will see you later. God bless. Namaste. Okay, now, namaste.